Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing. We are a podcast brought to you by Choice House. We're so blessed and thrilled that you're here. Caregiver Crossing is a podcast created just for you, the caregiver. I am Tina McIntosh.
Hi, I'm Terry Stacy. And I'm glad you're here. You know, if you're just joining us, we do this every week, and we bring in experts from all over the country to provide comfort and resources and joy to our caregivers. And this podcast will really serve to embrace family caregivers of today and tomorrow. So thanks, as Tina said, for being here. We're going to jump right in. Tina, you start.
Well, we get the privilege of talking today with somebody that I have the utmost respect for and who's really making a difference in our corner of the world here in Indiana. That is Natalie Sutton, who is the chapter executive at Alzheimer's Association of Greater Indiana, which provides services for 73 Indiana counties.
73, that's almost all of them.
73, goodness gracious.
And by the way, did you know that Indiana is home to 110,000 Hoosiers? Think about that number, 110,000 Hoosiers that are living with Alzheimer's disease, and 342,000 unpaid Indiana caregivers. Those numbers are startling. And there are organizations like Alzheimer's Association that is truly committed to ending Alzheimer's and all other dementias. Natalie, welcome. We're glad you're here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you start with telling us about the Alzheimer's Association and some of the amazing work that you're all doing?
Yes, at the Alzheimer's Association, we are the largest voluntary health organization dedicated to Alzheimer's care, support, and research. So we are focused on Alzheimer's as well as all other dementia, and both advancing research to identify treatments, prevention, learn more about the disease, as well as to support those who are on this very difficult journey as individuals living with dementia or their caregivers today.
You know, Natalie, I hear that, and it's hard. You say care, support, and research, and that is huge. I mean, you look at the numbers, you look at the counties, you look at those three words, and I know from my experience of being in this industry for decades, you know, people expect big things from organizations like the Alzheimer's Association. Is there any misconception that you think people have about what it is you should be doing compared to what the real work is?
You know, that is a great question, Tina. I think, we've made some shifts in our strategy in recent years, really to scale our impact. So, we have historically and still do support people one-on-one, but we were really built around that model of just, helping one person, one family at a time. And we're reaching a lot of Hoosiers, but not enough when you look at that number of 110,000 living with the disease and 332,000 caregivers. So we really are focused now on a lot of health system solutions, public policy solutions, and looking at ways that we can work through and with partner organizations to scale the impact of the association so that we can bring our expertise, but leverage it in a much bigger way to reach all of the people impacted.
I see the number of people that come out for the Alzheimer's Walk, and I see the fundraisers that are going on for the longest day or the shortest day. You know, it's incredible the numbers you see and the faces of the people. It ranges all in every color, every demographic. So when we participate in those events for the Alzheimer's Association, tell us where the money goes.
Well, the money goes both to research as well as care and support. The Alzheimer's Association is the largest private nonprofit funder of Alzheimer's and dementia research. So we invest in specific research studies. We also leverage our position in the space to bring researchers together and advance the work, advance the science community really in that way. And then again, it is that support for Hoosiers through our 24/7 helpline, education programs, support groups, and services that we offer really to educate caregivers and help them better care for their loved ones.
You are hearing the voice of Natalie Sutton, who is the chapter executive at the Alzheimer's Association of Greater Indiana. All right, Natalie, I've got a question for you. Later on, you might be like, Tina, really? Curveball? But stick with me. When you do a lot of interviews, right? You talk to a lot of people about what's going on with the Alzheimer's Association. And I think sometimes we, in things like podcasts or when people are interviewing, we lead you down a path, right, of conversation. What's something you wish that when you were being interviewed, people would ask you?
Ooh, that is such a great question.
That's a good
I feel
one.
like I need to think about it for a moment.
That's okay. And you can think about it. I just think, while you're thinking, I think we see you, we see Alzheimer's Association, we think research, we think of somebody we know living with Alzheimer's, we think of the walks, we think of purple, we think of all those things. And I just wonder often, like, what it has to be hard. There's so much great work that you're doing, and we're just about you, you know what I mean? Like, you have feelings too and have people you love. So I don't know, anything come to mind?
I think the first thing that comes to mind, and it's a little bit related to the way we scale our impact, is just, that our organization really, while we are grass tops and we try to work with those systems and legislators and advocate, at the same time, we are really grassroots, and our organization is very much grounded in communities throughout the country and the volunteers. So, we talked a little bit about those numbers, 73 counties, 110,000 Hoosiers. There are just 19 staff of the Alzheimer's Association Greater Indiana chapter. And so it really is through volunteers who want to make an impact on this mission that we are able to achieve what we are and to help people on this journey.
Every day, more and more people are being diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia. And you recently started offering living with Alzheimer's in the early stage. Talk about that, what this program is and what you can expect if you become a part of it.
Well, I think the first thing to mention is just that since March of 2020, we've really been offering our education programs and support groups in a virtual format. Just the safety and health of our constituents is our number one priority, and so many are at risk for complications or difficulties from COVID. So this is a virtual program, and one of the things that's so exciting is we're able to specialize these programs more specific to someone's diagnosis and what stage of the disease they might be living in, or what stage their loved one that they're providing care for might be living in. And because it's a virtual program, we can reach people throughout all of Indiana and the region. And so this is really targeted to those who are living with dementia in the early stages, as well as their caregivers. And it's a multi-part series. So it's a combination of education as well as providing support from the community of people who participate in the program there with you, and really helping people, have a plan for the rest of their diagnosis or at least the next steps based on the stage that they're in.
And I hear you say that, and I think there are a couple things that come out of it. One, people don't always realize that it's very identifiable, those next, things that happen in the next steps. Like, we've seen it enough, there's been enough research, all that. But how early are we talking? So I have someone in my life who has been diagnosed with cognitive impairment. Are we talking there where they're barely having a diagnosis, or are we talking a little bit further in the journey?
I think it can be both. If someone has mild cognitive impairment, we may not know the cause of that, and we may not know if that will progress into dementia or if it will progress, if it is from Alzheimer's disease or another type of dementia or another cause. So, I think it does depend on what that specific diagnosis is. And one of the things that I think is really valuable about this program is that we do screen the participants to make sure that they're a good fit, that they're the right fit for the group. So the best way, if you think you might be interested as a caregiver or someone who's living with cognitive impairment or dementia, is to call our helpline and get connected with one of our program managers in the chapter, who will just have a conversation with you and learn more about your specific situation and if you're a good fit for the program.
Why don't you go ahead and give us that number, as well as more information about where we can get a hold of you and the Alzheimer's Association here locally.
The number for our 24/7 helpline is 800-272-3900. This is the best way that people can reach the association. It is 24/7, 365 days a year. And you'd be surprised how much calls ramp up at 2 a.m. or during the holiday season, especially. And this is the way you can get in touch with anyone at the association about our programs, but also just get those specific questions answered, whether you're looking for information, looking for a resource, we're there to help all the time.
Tina?
I have to unmute myself if I'm going to talk, apparently. Natalie, I'm just grateful for what you do and how you do it. And I think if someone is hesitating to get in touch with the Alzheimer's Association, or, don't be. I mean, call Natalie and her 18 coworkers. I can't believe there are only 19 of you doing all this work, but they're doing great work here in Indiana and beyond. And so thank you so much for everything that you do.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for giving me the chance to talk about it today.
Of course. And we will be back on Caregiver Crossing next week. Until then, take good care of each other.